Hello and welcome to Dr. Khanna's podcast and blog that we are covering on a regular basis things to do with the U.S. Constitution. Dr. Khanna is seeking nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court, and he believes we should all have an understanding of the U.S. Constitution, its original intent, how it applies in today's laws, and how it is used to affect the American people. Good evening, Dr. Khanna. How are you?
Good evening, Gary. Thank you very much for bringing up the second day of this series we started on the Bill of Rights.
Thank you, the Bill of Rights. And we're going to talk about the very first one, which is the First Amendment. But we're not going to talk about all of them. As you can see here, there's a number, actually, there's 5 points outlined in this First Amendment, but we're only going to talk about the first point. Let me read it, and then I'll let you comment, Dr. Khanna. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The First Amendment. Dr. Khanna from constitutionus.com.
Well, this means that the U.S. citizens have rights to practice whatever they believe on. There is no prohibition or no interference by the government to stop them to practice what they believe on. Doesn't matter what religion you practice or what religion you believe on, you can freely practice that as long as you are not forcing your other people to practice the same that you believe. Your neighbor may not believe the same as you believe. So you got to respect each other. Also, one thing we got clarified, which is always getting misinterpreted, because our founding fathers, they come from the European background, especially from England, where the separation of church and state was not prohibited. They made sure that there is a separation of church and state. Sometimes our constitution, people misinterpret that there is no separation. That's the reason why the church uses the term God. No, God is name of a God. It does not give a name of any particular religion. So the separation of church and state does not exist in any of the founding documents or U.S. Constitution. Our founding fathers and the greatest leaders during the declaration of this independence, they were very, very much cautious about the fact, and they warned time and again against such separation. So, Gary, if you remember that U.S. Constitution or U.S. Supreme Court removed the prayer from the schools so that because they thought that God is termed for a particular religion. No, God is not defined or specified for a religion. So government interfering in this kind of thing is against Constitution. So some states government, they promoted to do this. So that's wrong. What do you think?
Thank you, Dr. Khanna. I do think that it's important to understand the nuances and the details behind the reasoning that the founding fathers used this particular wording. First of all, it's exactly what you said. They came to America, the first Europeans, to escape religious persecution because specifically in England, the government owned the church. It was a part of the government. They reported to the government so they could control what they said. So there was no religious freedom. So they came to the United States. that's why they were so concerned that this is the very first amendment and the very first comment in the very first amendment about religion. But this statement does not include, as you said, separation of church and state, which is not in any of the founding documents, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, Constitution, the Federalist Papers doesn't exist. It was only a personal letter from the president at that time, President Jefferson. So this has been repeated, and I'm going to say misinterpreted by courts to say that there's separation of church and state. Everybody says that. Separation of church and state. Well, show me where it's written in the founding documents, and it isn't. And this applies to the next point, and the last point we're going to discuss, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, the free exercise of religion. How does that apply, Dr. Khanna?
Well, free exercise means whatever you believe, you can practice. You can practice freely, but like I said, without disturbing or interfering your neighbors or your fellow, those who do not believe on what you believe. So you cannot force somebody to believe what you believe. So it's a free exercise for yourself, for your purpose, not for everybody's purpose, not for universal purpose. So that's what the interpretation of exercising your practice means.
Thank you, Dr. Khanna. That concludes Section 1A of the First Amendment. We're going to go through the other there's actually 5 points. We're going to go through them in future videos. Please join us and go to our YouTube site, and we'll have links on our website. On the home page to the right, you say Dr. Khanna's blog. You can click there. It'll take you to the latest blog and the latest video. And we'll join us next time for the continuation of this series. Dr. Khanna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Gary, for having this.
Thank you.